As the January 6th committee presented its findings to the American public, some members of Congress who were inside the Capitol on that nearly deadly day were listening in the room. Among them was Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal, who last January found herself seeking shelter in the House gallery as rioters attempted to enter the chamber. And it was clearly important to the Congresswoman to be there last night for the first night of the hearings. Congresswoman Jayapal is here. Reliving them, I can't imagine, especially, I want to start with hearing Officer Edwards.
Yeah.
And what that was, how did you handle that, and what was it like to hear all that?
I thought it was one of the most powerful moments of the evening. You know, when she described particularly that she was not combat trained, that she was trained to detain a couple of people, to manage crowds, but she was not combat trained, and then described the detail of, you know, slipping in people's blood and catching people as they fall. And, you know, right after the break, I actually, or maybe it was right before the break, I actually saw Harry Dunn and some of the other officers, and we hugged and we were all crying. I mean, look, it was a very emotional day because it was reliving everything. And it wasn't just our lives that we feared for. It was really the shock all over again of this is happening in our capital. This is happening in the seat of the greatest democracy in the world, and this is how close we came to losing our democracy. So I think it was important that we were there. I went with, you know, I started a group called the Gallery Group right after January 6th. We were all trapped in the gallery. We couldn't get out, and even when other members were evacuated from the floor, we were still there. And
to remind people, by the way, that was due to COVID protocols. Not everybody could be on the floor. I think some people may forget why some of you were separated out and why there were, you know, which actually made it all of you guys more of a target.
That's right. Yeah. And actually, not all of Congress was on either the floor or the gallery. Right. We were supposed to be going in shifts. So we were in the first shift that was there, but we were up in the gallery. And we have, you know, each given each other a lot of comfort over this last 16 months. But it was important for us to be there. And for a lot of people, it felt like the beginning of, you know, getting to closure, right? Because it wasn't just about the day. It was all the facts that led up to the day. It was connecting the dots, putting all the puzzle pieces in place. Listening to Bill Barr was the other big moment for me, because of course I've battled with Bill Barr on a lot of things. But listening to Bill Barr say, you know, that
very bluntly.
Very bluntly, I won't say it on
we've agreed. We carried it live once, and we're beeping it out every other time, unfortunately.
So I think that was, you know, it was important for all of us, I think, to be there.
You think you're going to, you know, do you think you're going to get justice?
I think we have to. I don't think it's an option, Chuck, because here's the thing. This was about overturning the election, stealing the election. And by a sitting president. The committee was very clear. They put Donald Trump at the center of this conspiracy to stay in power despite what everybody out there who's watching said in their ballot. And to me, if we don't get justice, then we can't guarantee our democracy.
What does justice look like?
To me, it is that Trump is, and look, I got to see the rest of the testimony. But if it's what was laid out by Liz Cheney and Benny Thompson yesterday, then it is indicting Donald Trump and making sure that he is also never going to hold public office again. It is all of the people that were a part of it, including apparently some of my fellow members of Congress on the other side. And then, of course, the insurrectionists, the people that were part of the mob. We have already seen some of that happening. But I think the Department of Justice needs to act quickly on this, because this is not political, and that's why, you know, Liz Cheney was a big star last night. I have a tremendous amount of admiration for her courage, even though our policies are nowhere near each other. But she puts country over party, and she did that last night very clearly. And I think we, you know, I think we are going to have to make sure that everybody who was a part of this is held accountable.
If you were to parse, I mean, it feels to me they were laying out almost two cases. One is to me is a very strong case that he orchestrated the overturning of the election.
Yeah.
I think the tougher case to make is his incitement of the actual attack on the Capitol. What more evidence do you think is going to be necessary to pin that part of him on him?
Well, Benny Thompson gave a little bit of a preview to that. I mean, I think the connections between the Proud Boys, the Oath Keepers, and the White House is going to be very, very important. And I think it sounds like there is real testimony around that. I wish we had Mark Meadows testifying as well, because I think there's very important information that he had from the White House. We're getting it from some other people. But the intent to cause violence is tied, I believe, to the inaction of the president to stop violence. And so I think that's going, we're already seeseeing that testimony from General Milley. I mean, these people were all part of the Trump cabinet, for Pete's sake. This is not me.
Or were appointed by Trump. I think General Milley.
That's right.
Right.
Good correction.
Yeah.
But I think these were all part of
I think
Trump's.
he's sensitive to that. That's why, to be fair.
Right. It's appropriate. But these were all part of that administration, and I think it's important that we recognize that those are the voices we're hearing. But there are a lot of other voices that are not there, including some of my colleagues who should be testifying and who apparently were asking for presidential pardons. You've got to wonder what they did that they were asking for presidential pardons.
There have been 4 federal investigations of Donald Trump essentially since he's been due to his presidency in some form or another. And the first 3 cases, while it appeared to be strong, were hamstrung by lack of receipts, lack of cooperation. I mean, shoot, the first one was just, it ended up an obstruction case because they didn't actually get cooperation. This one has the most receipts, and it feels like accountability is the hardest to get.
Well, it's probably it's the hardest to get maybe because this is so big.
Yeah.
I mean, what we're talking about, and that's why I thought it was appropriate that they went back in history at the beginning of the hearing, because this is of that scale. And so it will be hard. There's no question. There's, charging, indicting, holding accountable a former president of the United States for his role in an attempted coup is not going to be easy. But it is impossible, in my belief, to move on or to know that this won't happen again unless we do.
Can you say we're a healthy democracy if we're not capable of at least attempting accountability?
No. I really think we can't. And I'll tell you, I don't think we are a healthy democracy right now. I think we have not gotten to that place where we have the assurance that democracy will always prevail. We saw it. I saw it, Chuck. I mean, reliving that, you would never have known it was 18 months ago. I mean,
didn't feel like, honestly, I lost the day of the week again. It's like,
yes.
I'm living, it is.
Yes.
I think we're all living here January 6th again.
Yes.
And it does feel like, felt very recent again.
Exactly.
Now, half the country might not have tuned in.
It's true, but I think a lot of people did tune in. A lot of people will tune in. I think the voices are very important. I think Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger are very important to this.
Bill Barr on camera is important. Ivanka Trump on camera is important. That to me is what made this different from the impeachments.
I think that's right. Those were the moments. I mean, look, we also didn't have a committee during the impeachments. We didn't have Republicans and Democrats working together in the way that this was, or the way that the 9/11 Commission was.
Pramila Jayapal, thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
All right.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.